So good to have you back. It's still the Sunday, and whenever it is Sunday, and from 7 to 8, we discuss purely politics. And I told you before we went on our break that our guest is already in the studio. Now, let me start by introducing a man that received a standing ovation at the tail end of Sabina Yade's first tenure. I was there live, and I found it very fitting to bring him. You know, he was given an appointment for the second term. It was an awesome moment when his colleagues had to rise because of what he did when he was in his former ministry. All the way from the City of Light, we have Honorable Edem Okoko Defium, the Middle Past Commissioner, Minister of Rural Transformation. Yes, let me say thank you there. It's Honorable, so good to have you join us. Good evening, and welcome to Weekend Politics.
Good evening, and good evening, Cross River State.
Let's quickly take a look at your 8 years, or first and second tenure as Commissioner in Cross River State. Let's start from you before we go into the prospect of Prince Bassey to the governor.
Well, for the first 4 years of being a commissioner, it was an education, a kind of an education, particularly when you are dealing with a man who is actually, I'll call him intellectual powerhouse, like our immediate past governor, Senator Professor Benedict Ayade. You know that he's a man full of wisdom. I mean, he's well crafted in the field of intellectualism. So when you are dealing with such kind of person, you need to up your ante, you need to up your game. And at the initial stage, it was looking as though I won't be able to catch up. But as we proceed and as we begin to get proper mentorship from him, we started evolving. So for the first 4 years, I would say that I actually spent the first 6 months learning how to first and foremost accommodate the intellectual capacity of my boss, then also beginning to share in his dream as a governor. So from there, once we understood the trajectory of where it was going, we started picking up. And in the course of picking up, we bring a lot of knowledge, what we have acquired as people over a period of, first and foremost as a retired civil servant, what I acquired as in my knowledge from field, from various works, I had to bring it to play. And that you can actually translate it into what we have there as the Bakassi housing, social housing for the Bakassi returnees in Ifia, in Bakassi local government. As a matter of fact, if not for the fact that the NSAS crisis actually destroyed our dream. How I can beat my chest boldly and say that's the best estate ever created in this state. So it's an estate that all the cavalier, all the aesthetics that can make for a perfect living. And for the first 4 years we had that, and I was exceedingly excited that within the first 4 years we were able to commission that. That was one of the first projects that His Excellency Senator Professor Benedict Ayade commissioned, and that goes a long way to tell you the strength, the energy, the vibrancy that was put into it to ensure that within a short period of time we were able to actualize that dream. And so for the first 4 years, that was what we went through. For the second 4 years, it was a different ballgame entirely. Coming into Ministry of Rural Transformation, well, it wasn't a very new field to me, given the fact that I'm one of the few Cross Riverians that I can beat my chest that I know more than 80% of the villages in this state. Not just because I'm a commissioner, not just because of my former work, but the fact that being a man that grew up in Lagos is a very small place. Coming to Cross River is a very big, massive place. A lot of adventurism. I needed to step out and begin to feel the environment. And the Cross River in particular gave me the ambience, the ability to move around and adventure. So in the course of doing that, I was able to understand virtually all the villages, move around some of the villages, know how they think, know how their social formation as a whole. So coming to Minister of Social Housing, it wasn't a new thing to me any longer. Quite frankly, understanding what each local government will need at them. I want to give a classical example. Most of us as Koreans don't know that once it's dry season, the people in the north suffer a great deal from lack of water. And the cost of putting up a borehole in the south is not the same cost as putting up in the north, particularly when you are dealing with part of the Mamfe Plateau or the extension of the Cameroon Mountain that span largely around Banliku, Obudu, part of Ogoja, part of Bekwara. So you need to spend more money drilling, going deeper down to get water. It's not the same thing as when we begin to drill. So most of us don't understand. So the cost of drilling a borehole in Obanliku, for example, maybe 10 times the cost of drilling one here in the south. So this was the knowledge that I acquired over time, and I was able to bring this to play. And we are happy as a government. We have tried our best. If you actually move around Ipong ward in Obudu, that was a place. Particularly, Ipong ward is made up of 4 basic villages or localities. That's Kakun, where His Excellency comes from. Then we have Bebagbon, where Professor Zana comes from. We have Beboabi and Bebaswan. Beboabi and Bebaswan are particularly very rural, but with our knowledge and the support of His Excellency, we're able to bring this to you can call it a modern village, because you have the roads are open up, you have access to water in some cases, in some places. So we're able to do this, and we're able to bring water to Obanliku. Virtually all the entire 10 wards of Obanliku had a minimum of 2, sometimes 1 borehole. And we are not just creating borehole, that's the motorized solar powered borehole. So some of this borehole, like for example, if you go to the one in Esankwala by the INEC, we're able to reticulate it over 2 kilometers away. So other people from a distance of 2 kilometers can actually have access to water. This is a part of what we did for our second term, but all in all, it was a very wonderful experience. It's a whole lot of lesson for me as a person. Coming in from Lagos, being born in Lagos, come to share different experience here. So it's a whole new gamut of ideas, and using that to build my capacity for any other opportunity that may come my way.
Now, let's in the last 8 years, what were those major challenges? First, as a social housing commissioner, and second, where you just were, did I say retired from? If I should use that word. Rural transformation commissioner. What were those challenges you faced?
Well, you see, for every locality we find ourselves different challenges. I want to give you that when we came in, initially we wanted to site the social housing around Ipankanya, but His Excellency in his wisdom said we should move it to the heart of Bakassi, and that brought us to Ifiansung and Ifianayong. As a matter of fact, if you know the geography of Cross River State, Cross River State, what we call Cross River takes its source from the Cameroon Mountain. The Cameroon Mountain is a volcanic mountain, and due to volcanic activity, the top of the Cameroon Mountain is blown off to create what we call in geography caldera. So we have a caldera lake, or what they will now call as Lake Nyons, where the Cross River State takes its source, cascading down. So going by the World Court judgment, Sidin Bakassi, you realize that part of the Core River, where the Core River and Cross River meet to form what we call the Akpa Yafe, becomes the boundary that divides our Bakassi, former Bakassi, from the present day Bakassi, or Akpaboy as the case may be now. So you realize that these were areas that were largely ungoverned. So moving into an ungoverned area where security you cannot say that you can have security even 30% coverage, and coming in here with the volatility, with the insecurity around, so it was a whole new challenge. So like I said, the insecurity we experienced were not the same thing we experienced in Obudu, and so we had to adapt or re-energize or re-strategize. Me as a person, I was one commissioner that finished for 8 years. I don't go around with police escort. I've never been, no matter how dangerous the terrain is, I've never moved around with police escort. I like to adapt myself to the social environment. Whatever you do, I want to do with you, so you can also begin to take me into confidence. This was what happened. So you realize that a lot of people in Ifiang, no matter how volatile they were able to deal with them, and we got the job through. But then when you look at the overall cost of procuring this work, you realize that because you have to settle what you call, sometimes you have to, I'll give you an example. Sometimes I'll deliberately call some of these people from their house, just come and do something and earn money, rather than making trouble. So more often times you realize that we have to use some of our resources to also maintain the social environment, so it can give us a peaceful platform, a peaceful environment for us to actualize our dreams. So it's comparatively, it was damn expensive, more expensive, but all in all, we were able to manage all this, and we came out with that beautiful housing estate. For our movement in the north, and this is where I'd like to tell my brothers in the south that we should take a lot of lessons from. See, in the north, all of them have a community sense. You want to, I'm not surprised when the NSAS crisis came. It actually affected us more in the south, because we refuse to take ownership of that which has been planted by government in our locality. We always see a government project as, another person's project. It's not our project. So we don't take ownership. It's not the same thing as we have in the north. Then not from the day you start the project, the people are interested. They take ownership of it and they can protect it. So you also find that no matter the situation within security, they like to protect those who come to work and also protect the project in question. So comparatively, you realize that we had more. Like for example, when I was working, as I work in Obudu, I rented a house there, live in Obudu. Because it must also be part of them. You must understand what they do, you must understand their language, understand what they do for it to actually lead them. So it's a different ballgame entirely. So for our experience for that 8 years, it was awesome.
Great.
It was awesome. We've learned a lot, and I can assure you that what we have learned over the past 8 years will go a long way in transforming me as a person and also transforming every other opportunity that may come my way. So that is all in all, that's what we had.
Okay, great. So on the 29th of May, just a few days back, that administration came to an end. How would you assess the programs implemented under the Yard administration with more emphasis on rural transformation?
With their due respect to His Excellency, that was a man with so much energy, always eager to go. Sometimes the speed at which his brain works, it's not the same time, it's not at the same pace with which we, those of us who are his cabinet member, worked. It's sometimes 10 times or 20 times faster than us. So sometimes in trying to translate his dream, he is already at the end of the dream while you are still trying to make your move here. So all in all, for us in rural transformation, his dream was huge. The initial dream was trying to convert in every central district, we should have an urban center with all the facilities. But due to paucity of funds, other challenges of resource allocation to other areas of need, we just couldn't actualize that. Apart from the fact that we dealt with Ibong and Obanliku and part of Yola. So we were able to deal with it. But I know that if he had the resources, we would have been able to achieve that dream of making sure that every central has what we call a perfect city. So we couldn't just, he tried his best as a man. I can give it to him, like I said earlier, he's one man I can stand and fight for at any given time. He did his very best, he gave his very best, he gave his all in order to take CrossVarsity from the level he met it to the level that we are today. No matter what anybody may say about him, Senator Professor Benedict Ayade was quite an amazing leader, was an amazing governor. He knows how to work for 24 hours, sleep very little so that all of us may have sleep.
Great. Now, I must really commend you because, like I did say in my opening, I was there when His Excellency directed your colleagues to give you a standing ovation on the end of your first tenure. Now, before I move to yet another discourse about the governor of Cross River State, if you were to go back there, what would you love to change?
Basically, if I were to go back there what I would have loved to do is to move at the pace at which His Excellency Senator Professor Benedict Ayade had wanted to move. Because moving at that pace will bring the dividend of democracy quickly to the doorsteps of most Cross-Riverians. So I would have loved to move at a more faster pace than the pace I moved earlier.
Great. Now let's look at, on the 29th of May, we saw the end of an era and the beginning of another era, where we have His Excellency Senator Prince Bassey II taking over the baton as the governor of Cross River State. Let's look at the prospects of this administration that is just a few days old.
And I came in contact with His Excellency Senator Bassey II in 2006, first and foremost, when he was chairman Senate Committee on 2006 census. I happened to work with National Population Commission then. But politically, I've shared the same platform with him since 2010. As a matter of fact, when he was running for Senate, I remember clearly, after he met us in Akpabio, and he laid out his plan. And I went to him and told him, I don't need any money from you, I will support you. Very eloquent man. He had his plan well laid out, so beneficial for us in the South. And I knew that if he had had the opportunity of staying for another 4 years as a senator, maybe 70% of this thing would have been achieved. So, and from then, I've fallen in love with him. In fact, I always put up myself. More often times, we as politicians, we always like to collect money, say land, do this. It's not what I believe in. do your work, and then money will come out of it. First and foremost, deliver on that which you have been. So more often times, in my experience with His Excellency, I don't ask him for money, because I always go after his success first and foremost. And this is where I believe, since 2010, for us in Agbaboye with some few other people, we have always championed his success, even when we don't share the same political platform. And you can check the record. When he was in Labour, Agbaboye, we supported him massively, because these were, because we love him as a person, we shared in his dream. So we have always moved, in fact, without unknown to him more often, we don't normally take anything, but we always move to Actually. He moved on to APC, the same thing. Check the record when he contested as Senate. Agbaboye, irrespective of different party, we still supported him. Because for me, I like what we have in the South. We realize that we are not really politically conscious. We are not party affiliated, we are individual affiliated. So for us in the South, we love His Excellency Senator Bassey Oyedeto. There's this love, there's this thing we share, this bond that we share, that I just don't know something, I don't know how to define it. But it's so strong that whenever he steps out, you really want to. Maybe it's kind of person, it's kind of aura, it's charisma. But I just don't know how to put all this together. But as an individual and my other team, whom we have always shared this, and we always work with him. We always have to sacrifice, even when we don't ask him for anything in exchange. And that's what we have been doing in Agbaboye. So for Prince Bassey Oyedeto, like I said earlier, like I've said all this, is somebody I can vouch for that he will definitely succeed. And like you said, say the change of coming to another era, we are actually continuing. This is a government of continuity. His Excellency Senator Professor Benedict Ayari has laid down some ground, particularly in the area of industry. I know very well that His Excellency Senator Bassey Oyedeto will ensure that those industries come to fruition. If you move to Ayade Industrial Park, you will be shocked at the level of machinery. Take a case study of the Kalachika. Go to this drug, the pharmaceutical. These are real things. And apart from the fact that most of us and you journalists more often times tend to paint the government in a very different light. But in truth and indeed, if you actually step out and go to the rice factory in Ogoja, it's there standing. It's there for you to see. Go to the Obudu German in the hospital. It's there, it's clearly. But I don't know why we can't actually write about all this. So for me, I know that His Excellency Senator Bassey Oyedeto will continue with most of these lofty ideas. I want to make sure that as long as public fund has been invested in it, he has to bring it to fruition. He has to bring it to the benefit of the people. So I can assure you, as an individual, that His Excellency Senator Bassey Oyedeto will definitely put this alongside his own project. So, and all we need to do is continue to support him. And with due respect to you journalists once again, the kind of barrage His Excellency got from some of you journalists, I do not, particularly for those of us in the South, because this was a hard-won battle. When you consider the fact that so many odds were against us, and I say thank you to His Excellency who stood firm for the Back to South project. Thank you to Dr. Frank Ayade, who also stood firm for this Back to South project. And we all gave our all. Some of us gave our life, our everything to ensure that this thing comes. So I will be the very last person that will condone a journalist trying to run down this hard-earned benefit, political benefit as Southerners. Particularly those some of the journalists may come from the South. I know that because I know that His Excellency Senator Bassey Oyedeto will do well, and he will do well. I can assure you, he will do very well in all facets of our life as human, as Conservative. He will do well. But we should just give him the chance, support him, give him the opportunity. Don't start now to begin to run him down. We don't need that. We need to support him because he needs to excel. He needs to take us from the level we are now to the next level where Cross River State can intrude and indeed challenge other bigger economies of this country.
Now, let's look at his manifesto, and that has been his very core agenda, the people's first. I'd love you to talk a little bit about the people's first, because it's been known in almost every forum that Prince Oyedeto is the originator of empowerment in Cross River State. Now let's look at it more deep now. The people's first manifesto of Prince Oyedeto.
I'm not shocked with that manifesto. I can tell Cross River, pick your phone. I have his 3 numbers. Call His Excellency. Call him 1 a.m. He will pick your call. Call him 2 a.m. He will pick your call. Call him 3 a.m. He will pick your call. So for him, the people's first mantra, it's not new to him. That is his life. That is his call. as a House of Reps member, even it was not even, probably it was not part of his constituency, we could feel. But it was largely instrumental to the success that we had in 2006 census. His zeal, his energy also brought about how 2006 census succeeded. And coming in as a senator, we saw it clearly, the level of empowerment, the level of reach out. Senator Prince Basil too is just one individual that I've seen. The smallest person, the person you call inconsequential on the street to invite him for a function, you see him there. I've seen him severally. Sometimes I'm so amazed, I'm shocked that you find him and somewhere, and some of us are learning from him. A lot of us are learning. So humble. I've not seen him, shout on anybody. I've never seen him. He has this calm way of addressing you, reassuring you, and making you feel that all is well. So the people's first mantra is his life. So if you ask me to explain, it's amount to me explaining the life of His Excellency Senator Bassey Edirutu. And for the little I've known, I remember when we went to the family compound in Shanaan. He suddenly, he took his time to embrace everybody as become. So for me, it does not segregate. It does not segregate. It has no class. Nothing. So the people are the core of whatever particular agenda that he has set out for himself. And that's the reason why I said I can vouch for him that he will excel. Given the experience, given my contact with him, I can tell you clearly that His Excellency Senator Bassey Edirutu will succeed. And the people will be the one who will be the ultimate benefit of his success. So because there's just no way you can look at it. I'm sure, I can assure you. Yeah, no matter how we look at it, I know that we may have to step on, for example, let's take the issue of insecurity. We may have to ruffle some feathers here.
Yeah, because I was actually coming there. Let me pick a portion from his speech on that day of his inauguration. He said, "Our administration shall have zero tolerance for criminality in whatever form or shade." Now, and that leads me to my next question. How do you think he's going to tackle insecurity?
Well, I can assure you that people like us will offer our knowledge for free, because insecurity is it's an hydra-headed monster that is breaking us down slowly. And I'm never afraid to talk about it. It doesn't matter what you say it. Cultism is also at the center of what we have, what part of the problem we face. Today in Akpabio is largely insecure. You can hear of fights here and there, killing here and there. And I know that for us to succeed, we really have to put our feet down. But we also need to gather intelligence. With due respect to some of our security agencies, sometimes we need to use the local or clearly understand. I will give you an example of some local governments. If you go to Boki, for example, somebody may commit crime in Boje, and the next thing he can move on to Dadi and cross into Cameroon, you won't see him. He's gone. And he has committed crime here. He moved to Etum, for example. Somebody can commit a crime in somewhere, even in Agbokum, and all he needs to do is just take a 2-3 minutes walk across the customs, and it's off the other way to Cameroon. And the same thing applies with us here. Let's take an example of kidnapping, for example. What does it take us to understand how this water flows, the various fishing camps? How does it take us? I'm sometimes shocked that the same creek that has been there for years, we have refused to map it. I'll give you a classical example. As you cross from Akpabio, like I said earlier, if you watch the flow pattern of our cross river, taking its source, as it comes towards the south, begin to move around into different tributaries or creeks. I expect that the security apparatus will have successfully mapped the entire creeks by now. Know each of the fishing camp located, because when somebody is kidnapped, say in Calabasa, for example, say in Ambo, for example, what the man takes you there, takes you through the swamp and puts you on the boat and the other way. If we had carefully mapped all this area, then we can, somebody speak, you know where to go and wait for that kidnapper along the water. Once you can secure the waterways, you have caught kidnapping in the south by 70%. Because the bulk of the kidnapping, or because of what they do, take people to the water, hide them in one of the fishing camps. So if we can actually carefully look at it, then the other issue of cultism. We need a lot of knowledge, particularly our youth. We need to bring a lot of knowledge to bear cultism, you are not paid salary from it. You rather end up killing yourself. So what do you benefit in being a part of this? We need people to breathe down, not just breathe down on our youth, also on our parents. Because a typical kidnapper, a typical armed robber, a typical cultist come from a home. What kind of lesson do they give them? We also need to look at our social formation, the church, every other social formation. What are you teaching our people? What are you teaching your children? What are you teaching your followers? So we need to deal with this. We need to deal with this issue. That's why I said we are going to ruffle some feathers if we must succeed. Then we must also bring our security agency, bring them on board. We don't keep them from a distance. Keep them here. Because if you tell me give us an architecture of a security architecture of Akpabio, for me I can easily tell you. I can easily tell you that. Because there's no nook and cranny of Akpabio that I don't know. The same thing happened in Bakassi. But by and large, sometimes people we also call criminals, there are also people who need our love, who need care. First and foremost, they say he who seeks equity must first be seen at doing equity. Let us first show them care by providing work for them, by providing the enabling environment for them to succeed as people. When we have done all this as government, then we can begin to tackle those of them that have refused to change. So on the area of security, like I said earlier, we offer our knowledge free because we all want to see His Excellency succeed in this area. This is one of the key areas. You can imagine the level of investment, people moving to Akpabio, a lot of housing estates moving, and they are running back again. It's so pathetic, it's so painful, it's hot.
Okay, let's look at the low-hanging fruits, because expectations are quite enormous for this administration, but what can he do at least to get those ones that are easily achievable, the low-hanging fruit for Prince Obasanjo to the governor?
Yeah, I've shared this with some of his friends. For us in Cross River, the one thing I like about Cross River is our expectations are not sometimes too high. They are something that's achievable. Let us just patch the potholes along the road, clean the state, let the street light rules, and you see that Cross Riverians will have been glad. Then later, let's reactivate water board. Let the water flows in the house that they were like it was before. Then you can see that we have achieved 50% of it. Every other one want to have, be it bridges, be it new road network. It's just an addition. But the basic thing, like you said, the low-hanging fruit is for us to make sure that the road are patched, the potholes are properly patched, people can run, we can ride without a pothole, that the street light is running, that we can see whoever from a distance you can see somebody come approaching you. Then the next thing can be taken. Education can now be followed up. Because for example, in terms of education, you'll be surprised, you'll be shocked at the state of some of our schools. I know His Excellency tried so much to get this done. His Excellency Senator Professor Benedict Ayade tried his best. But sometimes, too, with due respect to him, sometimes the man gives his best. But some of us, too, as implementer of his dream, don't do well. Sometimes, as commissioners, our approach first and foremost is, let's see what we can. We should make sure that this thing comes first. So sometimes some of the blame we put on the Excellency's table, we should also put it on our table, on our doorstep. The buck should not just stop on his table, it should also stop. Whatever grounds, whatever problem you have with His Excellency, put some of them on us. Because we are the one who are the actualizer of his dream. As a governor, he comes up with the dream. It's now left for you as a commissioner, as an SC, to ensure that dream comes to fruition, that dream comes to benefit for becomes beneficial to the ordinary populace. So, my dear brother, we will have to work with the present governor. Everybody who has positive knowledge to contribute should contribute it for the glory of our state. Not necessarily for his own glory, but for the glory of our sake, for our state. So like we have talked about insecurity, like I said, we will still interface with the governor. I believe that there's a platform for us to interface, so we can also crossbreed or share ideas on how best to tackle this. For example, why can't we even deploy technology? What does it cost us to buy $2,000 drone we can train drone flyers in virtually every ward? Just make sure that the drone is there, can pick up movement. Because most sometimes when these boys are going to attack, you see 5-6 of them on a bike. When the drone picks it, you can call the security man. There are 6 people there, six bikes with six people or five people on it. Let's stop them. So you can actually stop the crime on the track. It's just a matter of deploying simple technology and then bracing up for the challenges that will come. Maybe because there will always be a backlash. We have to deal with that issue, because when we begin to deal, that's when Amnesty International will say you had no. Amnesty International, they don't live with us. They don't know what we go through.
Excellent. Now, one of those great strides of Sabena Yada, the immediate past governor, was in the area of agro-industrialization. Let's look at the government of today. How would they consolidate on that gain?
As a matter of fact, agriculture remains the bedrock of our economy. Maybe the next one will be solid mineral as a state. Our concentration in agriculture. My dear brother, we are not doing badly as a people, but all we need to do is to begin to bring what I call informal agricultural sector into formal agricultural sector. Most Cross Rivers don't know that the bulk of the food in Cross River feed Akwa Ibom, feed Ebonyi, feed Abia State. Most people don't know. Just go and stay at Odupa and see the level of trucks that move food out of this town. You'll be amazed. But how do we bring that into a formal sector? How do we bring that? When we bring it to a formal, then we can actually track, and we can actually subsidize, we can do whatever we want to do to increase the agricultural product. But another problem, another thing too is how do we move this? For example, you may buy a bag of gari in Ogoja, for example, say 15,000 naira. The same bag of gari may cost 20,000 naira here in Calabar. Sometimes I won't blame them. Calabar as a state capital is one extreme part of the state, then the other food producing belt are, and then one extreme. But then this is where government can come in to make sure that food are cheap. But for me too, I also say that why do we allow people to take outsider come just pack our food? Why don't bring all the food there into a place and let them come and buy? In so also doing, we're also adding value to our ordinary subsistence farmers. Because when you go to the farm, they sell to you cheaply, you pack all. Let me give you an example, garden egg. I went to Alifopa in Yala, and I gave the woman, I said I wanted garden egg. The woman just said, give me 1,500, enter the farm and plug what you want. That's the same garden egg you find like 10 for 500 naira here. And I gave 1,500, I had more than Bago Supers are more than 5. Because my son picking take them because the thing goes for nobody. So if government comes in here, we can actually move this thing, add more money to the person, because make sure that there's value addition for the human planting, that while we are also making money as government. So if we narrow down to agri alone, it can sustain us effectively. The other second one is solid mineral. So once we can narrow on these two, I'm sure that we won't be needing the fact. We won't be needing the fact that we'll be needing money from the oil. Because when we judicial and His Excellency Senator Professor Benedict Ayade did so well in opening our eyes to this. You can look at what we have done within his tenure. Now, because we used to know of Bansara rice, but today you can find out that you can go to Ugboro in Bekwara, they are planting rice. You can come to Yala, some part of Ikprinyi, Ejima of Anaward, they are planting rice. You can go to Abi, you understand, they are planting rice. You understand, you can come to Obiase, they are planting rice. So His Excellency has opened our eyes to how best we can plant rice, all season rice. Unlike before, we have seasonal rice, but now we can. So this is what we need to leverage on. This is what His Excellency, the present governor, will have to also leverage on, so that we can actually lift our people from the level that they are now to the level that we want them to be.
Great. And finally, before I let you go, you have about 80% knowledge of Cross River State, and your kind is very rare as regards having so much knowledge of almost all the villages in the state. How can we be more united in this diversity? Because we see Cross River State, some we are lost in languages, we are lost in religious inclinations and all of that. How can we see a more united Cross River State in all of these diversities?
One thing I give certain credit to the South. Here in the South, we don't have much of communal clash. Because maybe because we are not so much deep into farming, so we don't really have much of that communal clash. But also understanding Cross River as ordinary Cross River and try to understand Cross River, you will understand. I'll take you through certain things. Let us take the Ekpe culture, Ekpe institution as it is. The same Ekpe that is played here in the South is also what they play in Ikom. It's also what they play in Etung. The only difference is that here we have a Ekpe, the other place have Ochamangbe. The same Ekpe, the same definition. You understand? If you go, for example, take Ikom main town. Ikom main town is made up of 4 major villages or 4 major communities or 5 major communities. That's Mbaratiti, Bisoro, Asinasin, Etayip, and so you can see that. So you can see that the same Ekpe that is played everywhere is what we play here. So how have we leveraged on that Ekpe as an institution to unify our people? We have not been able to exploit this. The same Ngbe and Ekpe, the same thing. How have we leveraged on it They have not. So for those of us who are social thinkers, for those of us who are social moderators, we should begin to look at that which binds us together rather than look at that which separates us. Another one we need to look at is our traditional institutions. We need to strengthen our traditional institutions. Not just strengthen them, we also need to look at them closely. Because, I'm sorry, with due respect to our traditional institutions, we now see traditional rulers who are also cultists. So we need to carefully x-ray them. You are not fit to be a traditional leader, which they should be expunged. You should be taken out. Because you are a mentor, people look up to you, the whole community look up to you, the whole village look up to you. How do you, as a village head, have a son that is killing people, that is stealing from people? It's unheard of. It shouldn't be. It's therefore because you must be able to control your home before you can control others. So if you can't control your own small family, why do we allow you to lead us as a village head? Why do we allow you to lead us as a clan head? So we need to look at this issue closely. Another one is the church. 90% of us here are Christians. How? Because how has the church leveraged on communal crisis? Most of the people that are villagers that partake in communal that are killing, destroy, they also come from church. Sometimes they are elders, some of them are pastors, some of them are reverends, some of them. So what are they preaching to their members? It's not just about paying the tithe. How have you moderated the lifestyle of your members? How have you used the platform, the sharp platform, the church, to educate your members on why not to take another person's life? You can't equate land with somebody's life. You can't equate money with somebody's life. Why do you want to kill your brother because of small money, because of small farmland? So the social institution need to help us. It's not just about government. You don't blame government for all that. Because we, all of us collectively are government. Government is not centered around the governor only, or the House of Reps, or the commissioners. All of us collectively are governors. So what are we doing in our own small space? So we need to call ourselves, and this is where we also need a lot of education from most of you who are journalists. Rather than look for faults, why don't look for that binds us together? I'll give you another example of mine. I don't call anybody Atam. I've never called anybody Atam. I don't even believe in calling you Atam. And if you check, most of us in the South, we call our Southern brothers, our Central brother and North Atam, don't even know the meaning of Atam. And I take my time to educate them on this. Because if you have small time for me to do this, Atam, he said the word Atam comes from a place called Ofunatam. If you are coming into Ikom, you get to a place called Edo. Between the school and the market, there's a road there. That road will lead you to Ekpatale Edo, my 1, my 2, Ekpatale Edo, Njimetop, Nkwandi. After Nkwandi is Nta East. After Nta is a place called Ofunatam. Ofunatam is just by the water. It divides. That's the body of this cross river that divides Ikom and Bembe. Speaking of Obubra, and this is where the place Ofunatam. Ofunatam used to be an old outpost, because if you look, what they call the Gulf of Guinea. The Gulf of Guinea is as the big merchant ship comes. Since the cross river is flowing from up down this way, it flows into the Atlantic Ocean from the south here. So when the Gulf of Guinea is the one that just the ships will come, land at our marina or what you call it, and send smaller boats up. Those period of slave trade, there was no road. So everybody comes from Vandeke, bring all their goods through the bush. And the nearest port or inland port was Ofunatam. So there you trade your goods, trade everything you have, your slaves. The smaller boat, as they are coming down the river towards Marina, the people in Marina will say, oh, look at those Atam people there. That's how the word Atam is going to be. But you realize that because you realize that people from Bias are coming down. People from Odupani are coming down towards Atam. So do you call your brother as Atam? So for me, I don't use those words, because you end up calling your brother, bring people that have different identity, fuse them together under one umbrella called Atam. And some of them for political reasons are glad to be called Atam. So at the end of the day, they can collectively stand together to fight. So
we just have to leave it here. It's been a great moment, but I must have to bring you back on this show. There are quite a lot to talk about Cross River State. There are quite a lot that that will help us, work closely with the next government, with this government that is on board already. Honorable Ede Mokoko Nefium is the immediate past Commissioner, Minister of Rural Transformation. Thank you very much, sir, for your time.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Cross River. Thank you.
We look forward to having you in the next Sundays. Stay with us. We will be having the chairman of the Joint Task Force on Petroleum Monitoring, Honorable Peter Abang. He's already in the studio. I'll be joining us to give us update on what is happening since we were inaugurated on Thursday. Stay. Weekend Politics will be back. Don't go anywhere.